And we're about to get started.
Hello, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3.
We've had a Merry
1,
Christmas.
2.
No, in your voice, in your voice.
In my voice, in my voice.
There you go. Is that your loud?
Is that my loudest?
Yeah. Okay, there you go.
That's my girl right
That's
there.
a good question.
There we go. There we go.
Scoot that microphone.
Okay. Right here.
Hello, 1, 2, 3.
Hello, 1, 2, 3.
Okay.
Hi, Aunt Carol. Thank you for my bracelet.
Let's put some sprinkles on this ice cream. Here we go.
Sprinkles, chocolate, rainbows, chocolate ice cream.
Well, hello there. This is Susan Hamilton, and you're listening to the OffBeat Business Show. Thank you so very much for sharing your valuable time with us, friends. As business owners, we completely understand where you're coming from, because when we identify what's going on with American business owners, 80% of micro to small American business owners tend to be family-owned businesses of 9 employees or less. That means we're building our business while we're raising our kids. We don't know anything about that, do we?
Oh,
That means we are probably taking care of our parents. We probably have a veteran in our family or our workspace, and 30% of us have an addict in our family or workspace. This makes business conversation very different, and it makes the focus of our business very, very different. It's hard to do, isn't it? We've got a little bit of legislation that gets in the way now, because now when we're talking about business, we're also talking about taxation, healthcare, veterans administration, criminal justice. And those are things that can really impact us, and largely what's happened across the board is American business influence has suffered because of that. We're very, very busy. We don't take the time, and meanwhile, laws just keep getting passed that make it harder and harder to do business and turn a buck. And you guys are spending way too much time being worried about your penalties and over-regulation, and it's time that we get focused really, 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 really clear, especially this podcast is coming out the very last of 2016 to get you ready for 2017. We have to work smarter. We don't have time to waste. We have got to rebuild American business influence locally, nationally, and abroad. And we can do that when we really key in on 4 areas, friends. And those areas are networking. Those areas are processes. The third area is continuing education and business coaching, which largely you're not taking the time to do, and it's expensive. And with all these other issues going on, it's become very, very tight. But you have to do this. You have to get in there. And the fourth area is where OffBeat Business Media really shines, and that's your digital marketing strategies. You got to be able to take those strengths and make sure that you can be found. If you are not using digital marketing strategies today, if you are not available in audio, video, digital magazines, social media in a very powerful way, it's very, very possible to completely lose your influence. This is the most dangerous place you could possibly be. Now going into 2017, I want you excited and pumped up, so I have brought Daphne Anderson of Always Assisting You, who is a virtual assistant service that really takes care of a lot of these things that we're spending way too much time doing, Daphne.
Mm-hmm.
You know, before you came on, I was just spinning around. And by the way, friends, you need to know that Always Assisting You is one of the reasons OffBeat Business Media can do what it does. I am so grateful that I have a virtual assistant agency. Now, it's not just Daphne. She has a team of people that can get our things done, and it's so, so important. And for everything that she brings to the table, she earned the OffBeat Business Media MVP of 2016.
Yes,
And we are so excited about that. And that's one of the reasons I want to make sure we didn't end this year before we talked about it.
Okay.
Oh, geez, Daphne. This whole business where we've got to be updating content regularly on our website just to satisfy Google drool has really, it's gotten out of hand, because people are so busy doing it, they're not really prepared to consider their message. They're just in a cycle of, oh no, I have to produce, I have to post, and then they're not even getting out there in social media with it.
No, they're not. A lot of companies and businesses are trying to do it all. And when they try to do it all themselves, they're letting little things slide between the cracks. And so when that happens, what you think is, oh, I got this done, but then you neglected on this, or you neglected on that. And then you've got to try to fix that. And then at the same token, you've got what you did do earlier sliding through that crack. And it becomes a cycle. It becomes a roundabout cycle. And it's not always good. And a lot of people just don't want to ask for help.
That is a problem.
or they're scared to ask for help.
Well, because all of a sudden asking for help means a few things. It means A, I have to train someone, or B, it means I have to allow someone into protected space inside my website,
Right.
involved in my finances,
True.
involved in my personal business relationships.
True.
Those are areas that are sensitive. We're a little uncomfortable about doing that. We think we've got to do it all, but man, the risk.
It is a risk, but once you find the one that actually fits you and your model better, and you build that rapport, and then of course either find one that's bonded or insured, or one that you can bond or insure for yourself and for your company, then it makes it a little bit easier. But you definitely want to train them, or at least get to know what their style is, let them get to know what your style is, so that you can find the right mesh.
So in that respect, it's a lot like employment, and because it is important that you work together well when you
Yes.
are looking at who you want to bring on. And we're not bringing this story to you, friends, as though everything is just peachy rosy. There's been times when Daphne and I have had to really both come to the table, and maybe with two different views on something, and go, how do we communicate that more effectively?
True.
Right?
It is true. And that's a good thing, but that's what you want. You
It
don't
is.
want someone that's just, okay, yes, yes. You don't want a yes ma'am or a yes sir.
No.
You want someone that's going to, respectively, of course, and professionally kind of make you think. You know, well, if I have an idea, I can bring it to you and say, Susan, have you thought about this? And you'd be like, no, I haven't thought about that, but let's try it. And if it doesn't work, then that's okay. We've tried it. I've mentioned it to you, but in the same token, if while doing that, if you find something that, hey, well, let's try adding this piece instead of that, and if that works, then it works.
Yeah, it's so important. It's what you're describing is a collaboration.
It is it's a
Yeah.
partnership. You want your VA. Your VA should not be your employee. It should not be an employee mindset. Though
Right.
you are paying them and they are an independent contractor, it's a partnership. And a partnership should work together for the benefit of both goods. And that's what you want. You know, as an independent contractor myself, I'm a businesswoman myself. You're a businesswoman. Y'all are business people out there. You want that partnership, because that partnership is going to bring, where I'm going to bring my A game, you're going to bring your A game, and together, who's going to come in between us? Nobody. No one's going to knock that down. No one should be able to knock that down. Let me rephrase that.
I hope you know that when I'm talking about looking at it as employment, I'm talking about when you're actually looking for someone to step up into the space, because we don't know where to look, and I don't know of anyone. Maybe you do, but I don't know of anyone who is utilizing the resources of a virtual assistant that wasn't referral based, or you knew something about that business before you made that connection. I think that those connections are valuable to understand, hey, who am I getting, and what have I heard about this person, and
Right.
and if it weren't for networking, I would not have,
Now that's true.
I would not have known.
Networking is the way, definitely. I mean, you have a few out there that just may look up virtual assistant and say, okay, hey, let me try it. But I think those are the ones that sometimes don't even know exactly what they're looking for themselves.
True.
They're just thinking of the term, oh, I need help, virtual assistant, let me call them.
And that's better than nothing.
It is
You
better
know.
than nothing, but you also want to get the right type of VA for you, or virtual assistant. But again, networking is definitely a key way to find you a VA or a virtual assistant, because that way, like you said, you've heard something of them. They probably have told you, well, yeah, they've done a good job, but this they're not that strong in. Okay. And it could just be they weren't that strong in it at that time. Maybe they've grown since then. It's a lot of ups and downs to it, but you can find the right one. It's just called communication.
It is, and like you said, there's a learning curve in everything. There always is,
Oh, yeah.
especially when we look at things like posting to your website. I think this is hugely valuable. That's absolutely something I was spending way too much time in, and that you're not the first company I've hired
Right.
to try to manage that. That's very tricky. And I've gone through a couple, and when I realized you were able to pivot, we've gone through a couple different themes now, and we've gone through a couple different issues with the website, haven't we? And which you were able to bring to my attention things that I didn't see, and the fact that we were working together allowed us to kind of see where problems were that I would not have noticed before, because we get so used to our own situation. sometimes
yes.
that we just don't even recognize where those failure points are. And in the process of teaching someone else or helping someone else, fill that spot, you go, oh, now I see even a bigger problem. And that's friends, if you're going to grow, this is an important mindset to have. You're not just going to one day have the magic client that comes in and you make $1 zillion. This is a constant, steady progression. I mean, it could happen. I believe in miracles. I really, really do. Daphne will tell you,
yes.
I'm a miracle believer. But at the same time, if you don't, what does Ziegler say? He says, you got to plan for that success so you can have it. You've got to be able to, anticipate that, which means finding out where the holes in the system are. And you got to have a system.
Systems are important. Systems help you grow. Systems show you where you failed and where you may need assistance or help at. But systems also are the backbone. They're just like that blueprint, You can't just build a house and just say, okay, here, put that there, let's pull this up. You've got to have a blueprint, a foundation. That's what a system is.
And one of the things that we're using that seems to be working pretty nicely is Basecamp. And getting back in there, using Basecamp has a couple different versions out there right now. We are on Basecamp 2. Basecamp 3 has some kinks they were working out. But Basecamp 2, this is both an online portal and an app for your phone. So that allows the lifestyle and the business style of both Offbeat Business Media and Always Assisting You to get moving while we're moving. So there's communication that we can have through this app on specific projects. There's calendar information, event information. Really great, because when I get so busy, I forget. So keeping that updated, developing that process and that system, that wasn't just, get Basecamp, wiggle your nose and start using it. We're still seeing all the different ways that it can help us support the systems that we're putting in place to have an even stronger 2017.
Right. True.
So when you're looking at systems, Daphne, is there anything that you're familiar with now, a couple different email platforms? And you have been really working through a lot of that. Those need to be systematized as well.
They do. You have to look at what it is that you're looking for, what's your price point that you want to pay, and then how many people or team members you're going to have on it. And it just depends. Do you want something that's going to go with your website, or do you just want it internally for your staff or your clients? Do you want it something that you can have on your mobile device or just on your desktop? You've got to kind of figure all those things out and then figure out which ones you want to use. We use Basecamp. I also use Asana. I also use Teamwork. So I kind of utilize a different multitude of them, but it's also, again, for certain clients you use one.
Right.
For other things you use others. And then I don't want to make the work harder for anyone. So if you're already on one and you're comfortable with it, then I'll come in and do that one with you as well.
Well, I'm curious. We're about to go to break and listen to some of our sponsors, but when we get back, Daphne, I'd love for you to talk a little bit about some of those other ones, and do you see pros and cons with these other systems that you're using? That could be very, very helpful for our audience. Friends, I just encourage you to plan. If you have not done that, I really hope you've been putting things in the works since at least October. We certainly have. But there's still a drill down period right now to make things happen the way we want them to happen in 2017, and it's very, very possible to just amplify everything we're doing if we can get this stuff nailed down. So you're listening to the Offbeat Business Show. Susan Hamilton talking with Daphne Anderson of Always Assisting You. We'll be back after this.
We're good. Ready for part 2? You okay? Want some water? Okay.
How you doing?
I'm good.
Asana?
Asana.
Do you like it?
It's okay.
It's got certain purposes, I imagine.
I mean, they're all the same for the most part. It's just which ones you want to pay for and which ones you just want to stay on the free basis. That's really what it boils down to.
No, I liked having the I like the system of the tasks and the to-do and the way the discussion rolls out on Basecamp. Do you get that with Asana?
You can have that on Asana,
Yeah.
but for me, it's more limited on how many people you can talk to and how it comes back on the free versus if you have to pay for it. And
Does that have an app as well?
If it does, I don't utilize it. So
Let's talk about that just a tad.
Okay,
Oh,
here we
get
go.
back. So you get it twice. So
I'm gonna find her little recorder so she can hit pause during the break, so we don't see all this
I have one. It doesn't work. Issues with
There we
digital
go.
media. You will have one.
batteries.
Let's put some syrup on these waffles.
She doesn't use batteries. That's what it is.
Well, hello, we're back. You're listening to Susan Hamilton, and you're listening to the OffBeat Business Show. I'm talking with Daphne Anderson, our wonderful 2016 MVP for OffBeat Business Media, because it's so important now, not just to produce digital content, but to have it go where it needs to go. It needs to have a house. It needs to be on your website, and then it needs to be sent out on a regular basis. And so we're talking a little bit about some of the systems we use. And if you were listening to our video during the break, we talked a little bit about Asana and the difference between Asana and what we use as Basecamp. We use Basecamp 2. And so when we that's not the only system we use. We also use Hootsuite. We also use some other some other systems. So name another one besides Asana.
Outside of Asana, there's Basecamp and there's Teamwork.
Teamwork. Talk about teamwork a little
Teamwork, I've used Teamwork in the very beginning briefly. And for me, Teamwork just didn't do what its name said it did. It didn't provide me that teamwork I was looking for. So we had to,
Yeah, if it doesn't do what the
set
name
it aside.
says, yes.
yeah, so it just didn't give me the same kind of feel or furry little lovingness that I wanted. So I've stuck more on alongside of Asana and then just good old-fashioned emails every now and then. And I think for my team, Asana works better. But then I'm leaning also towards the side of keeping Basecamp for clients because I can do more than with Asana. But again, like we said during the break, at the end of the day, it's just more about, do you want to pay for it or do you want to stay on the freeness? The freeness is always going to give you that limited mobility. Freeness is my new word.
That's a new word.
That's my new word for 2017.
The
Freeness. Hashtag freeness. I'm going to like that. But it just depends. Do you want to do the freeness, which is just the free version, which is going to give you limitedness? Or do you want to pay for it? And then, of course, when you pay for it, you have all the different levels of what they offer. And it's more or less, what can your budget afford? Don't try to break the bank doing something that you think you need to do when you can just scale back a little bit and do the majority and the basics of what you need to do on the freeness.
I'll tell you what, though, for our size organization, it definitely makes the difference to go ahead and spend that to organize it, because then you've got some detailed records of what got dealt with.
Yeah, that's true.
And so that's very important for me to see. Did we solve this issue? Is it still there? And also as a nice key place to have instructions as you're building, your manuals and building your systems.
Right.
Just have one key place that you can always go back to find that and then update them on a regular basis.
But you're not stuck and you're not locked into just one. You can utilize different ones. And that's not a problem. It just really depends on what you can manage and how do you manage.
That's true.
And then just, if it's not working
true.
for you, try something else. It's okay.
I know we used Deskaway for the longest time with my first agency.
Okay.
And
Never
that
heard of that.
that was just too detailed. That wasn't something that was going to save you time. That was stuff that was, the way we operated, it took us probably a year to master it. And then we were like, I'm not sure. I'm digging it.
Okay.
I'm not sure that's working. So, Daphne, it's been interesting. I've had this really great opportunity to end up meeting all your kids. And we can't have this business discussion without, talking about the fact that we're doing this while we have a life. There are things going on around us all the time. You know, just last week, I think you had to take your son to the doctor for a possible concussion.
Yes.
You know, these things happen. They happen to everyone. They're happening to you.
Yes.
And somehow you've got to be able to be flexible. That same situation in an employee would not have been the same as it was for us. No. We both had the flexibility because of the way you're operating as a virtual assistant.
Yes.
So that's nice to have.
It's wonderful. I'm not gonna lie, it is wonderful for my family, especially because if the boys get hurt, then I don't have to necessarily call into a job and say, oh, I can't make it, and have to worry about that jeopardy. Mm-hmm. I can just say, okay, I work around it. I can take him to the doctor and still work from my tablet or my phone or my laptop, whatever I have with me, and or give it to one of my team members for a moment, and just when I get back home, I can go back into the flow and continue working there.
Yeah, that's smart. That's a smart way to do it. You know, you've also had one of the things that we've had in common this last year, and you're probably dealing with, is having one of your kids overseas. Mm. Mine is in Bahrain right now, with our military. But you've got one that's studying overseas.
Yeah.
And had a little earthquake over there.
Yes.
It made you sweat a little bit, didn't it?
Yes. My child. But I've talked to my daughter, and she was like, oh, this isn't the first one. I'm like, what do you mean it's not the first one? Oh, no, the first one that happened, we were all in school, and it just felt like somebody was rocking our chairs, and then we looked at each other, and nobody's rocking our chairs, and we're all like, oh, this is an earthquake. Why am I just not hearing about that? Because I didn't want to worry you. So you tell me now? Really? Okay.
So how did that impact the weight on your shoulders getting tasks done? Just a bit?
Just a lot.
Yeah, you know?
I have an amazing team behind me that I love, and they love me because they stick with me. But it was more or less a quick text went out to my team and just simply told them, I'm dealing with the earthquake in Japan for Deja. Can you handle today's assignments?
I'm going to deal with that here.
Yeah. I mean, it was just, I believe in open communication and very honest communication with my team and my clients. So if I'm not going to be able to do something, you're going to know the sooner rather than the later. And I don't have time to lie about it. So it's going to be, I can't do this because I'm over here frantically awaiting to hear from my child because there's an earthquake in Japan and she won't call me back.
Now, that may seem silly to you, but consider how much time we waste when we are trying to do everything and that hits you. You know, when that all hits the fan, you can't focus. Mm-hmm. There's over and over and over.
Or mistakes are made.
Yeah, you're doing something that you're going to end up having to do twice because your head's not in the game.
Nope.
And that you need that team.
Yes.
And you need to know who you can count on to get things done in your
Yes.
absence. Yet another reason, friends, as you're going forward to 2017, build yourself a safety net. Make
Yes.
sure you've got people out there that can get things done in your absence, and that are doing things according to the specs that you lay out, so that you can always stay within what you're trying to do. Stay within that standard.
Your standards of operation or your standard operating procedures or whatever you want to call it, if you don't have them in place, you need to get them in place. Just like your business plan, just like your marketing plan. Even if you never intend to actually go to a bank and ask for more money, or you don't expect to have to grow outside of your home office or your office that's right outside your home that's not too far, you always want to have that plan, because that plan is your written documentation that shows you where you started and where you're going and the growth that you've made. And it's great that you have it on your computer. Print it out, because at the end of the day, goodness forbid, if something was to happen or there was an investor that wants to invest in your business, they may want to see that written business plan, and you may not have that opportunity to go print it out, or you've lost it in cyber world because you don't remember where you put it months and months ago, or the cloud is so congested up there you can't bring it down.
Yet another reason to get with a virtual assistant. If your files are a mess, if your digital files are everywhere and you can't find what needs to be there, let someone organize that for you.
Yes.
So that things can make sense, so that you can easily find your documentation.
We are here to assist you. We are here to make things easier for you. We are here to take that headache away from you. We are here to again, be your right hand, be your partner, so that when you grow and we grow because you're growing and we're growing with you, you're not going to want to leave us behind because we know the ins and outs. We know the backstories. We know, okay, we need to treat this particular one with a few tender gloves, when this one we can come straight forward at and then work it out. We're also here to kind of sidetrack any distractions from you, so that while you're doing what you're doing and you're doing it well, we're taking the grunt and the brunt of everything else, so that you can focus on that and not have to worry about these little things or these minute things, and so let you continue doing what you do.
So Daphne, when you're looking at what you're offering now for 2017, you've really been hashing and rehashing and thinking about how you want to go forward.
Yes.
Do you want to talk to anybody about what you're going to be offering your client base this next year?
Outside of what we already offer, which is confidentiality, which is support, which is just an ease of understanding, we also have our concierge management department, where if you're hosting an event or you're having if you're a speaker or anything of that sort, we can come and be your assistant during those times. And that's not what a lot of VAs do, and we're a little different because our hashtag says a lot for us. We are more than just virtual, because for that aspect, what we've noticed, we can be a tremendous assistance to you on site as well as virtual.
That's very important, because if you're out there speaking and
Mm-hmm.
promoting your book,
Mm-hmm.
you don't have time to be taking money and taking orders and all of that. You need to have somebody assisting you on that level. That is just, it's silly to try and do all that yourself. It'll come off very unprofessionally.
It's too hard to do it by yourself. And the main thing people are going to wonder, well, where's your assistant? Who's here with you? You can't set it up, sell, speak, shut it down, answer questions, do autographs, smile for the cameras, and all the rest just by yourself. There's no way. And
Not well, anyway.
not productively well, no. Not without either a mishap or trying to breathe in between something. It's just too much for one person to handle. Mm-hmm. And then so that's where my team and I step in, because what you're getting is professionally done, because we've been doing this for, I think, about 5 years now, that part. And then we know what we're doing. Even if we don't necessarily know your product or your book, we're going to act as though we do, because we've done our research. We just don't come in blind. And then we're going to be that support that you need so that you can do what you need to do.
Awesome. Anything else we need to know? Because are you still going to be tackling social media?
Yes. So we'll still be tackling social media management. We'll still be handling everything virtually. We're even taking on some website maintenance as of coming up. We also do events, and we host and help you with your events as well. And then, let's see, we're bringing on 2 more members, so we do have room for more clientele. And then we're also just always doing internal audits so that we can bring the best that we have to you as our clients, so that you can have the best of us. And we're always trying to grow within.
I love that. And so, friends, I'm really hoping that this sunk in, that these are the types of services that Always Assisting You offers. But virtual assistants can do even more. They can handle your customer service. They can handle your telecommunications, your direct client interaction, your email situation. So many things. If you've got something that's taking up your time, that you need to be more focused on something else, on the building of your business on the broad brush, I urge you to really consider getting out there and networking and finding out who in your space is offering the types of services that you need. Have a conversation. Don't let this thing scare you. You've really got to step out and trying to do it all yourself, especially if you've already had a year of that, you're tired. I promise you, I know that. You're exhausted. You need to have someone that comes alongside of you, and you'd be surprised at how much you can afford to get done, and how much better you can get it done when you are using the expertise of someone else. Daphne's got 25, 30 years experience in this area. So we're not working with somebody that is new on the scene. Oh, no. And so consider those things. Consider the skill set of the virtual assistants that you decide to use. Friends, if you're looking for virtual assistants, Daphne, how can they find you?
Daphne at alwaysassisting.com, or you can give us a call at 310-0360. We're on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram as well.
Wonderful. And we'll have all that information underneath this video and on the podcast page. And as always, you can find the lineup, the replays, our magazine, all of our event information, and our member directory at offbeatbusiness.com. You've been listening to the Offbeat Business Show.
Okay.